Okay, can you all see my screen? Please, you can unmute your mic and just say yes, because I'm no longer on Google Meet side, so I can't see the emojis.
Yes, you can see.
Okay, all right. So I will just quickly open my VS Code. So I already have the folder created. So let me just navigate into it. Just open my VS Code then. Okay, how about now? Can you guys still see my screen?
Yes, sir, you can see.
Okay. Alright, so this is just the folder, and currently I just have a few assets inside. Let me just move all these assets into a folder of its own. So basically these are just the images we'll be working with. Currently now this is the background image that we're going to use, like what I shared in the group. This was actually what I shared to the group. Okay, so this is the finished one. So we'll just be using this to be checking and be seeing what we're doing on, assuming we're actually working on like a live project or an actual project now. We'll have like, there will be like a design that will be on a Figma file that we can just be checking there, picking all the colors, the properties. So but for this practice project, we'll just be using this as our guide to try and create it to be exact. Okay, so that's this finished. At the end of the day, once we're done with the class, I'm just going to share all the code to be on GitHub, and I'll just share that to the group so we can all just go back and check it too. So I'll close this. So this C fave icon is just what is going to be on like the browser tab area. That's just this fave icon. And this SVG is just like a hamburger menu, like an icon that we're going to use for the menu part. Alright, so let me just close this and let me just go straight to our HTML. Alright, so now we're in the root directory, which is the coda folder. That's what I named it. The project I want to just name it coda. So right now, let me create a new file, and that's going to be our HTML what we are going to be working on. So let me just call it index.html. Save. Okay, so I don't know if I think she did, because I think she did. So if you just want to do like a boilerplate for your HTML just to speed things up and to start working, you can just do shift exclamation, and you see this Emmet abbreviation. So it's just going to give you like a boilerplate of your HTML. So click enter, it just gives you something that you can just quickly start working with. Alright, so right now, based on what we have in our assets for the finished, we are just going to be working on the header and the main, and we also have this hello, it's me, all these ones. That's like the hero section, which is like above the fold what we are seeing. So So in our body, this is our head. And like I said earlier in the classes, the head is just where we have like the metadata about the project. It's not going to get shown in the browser. It's only what's inside the body. That's what is going to get shown. So let me just do something. Okay, before I even do this, let's just see what we have. Let me just open it. So this I think it was a while back we shared an article on some extensions that are useful for you if you quickly want to see what you're working with. So that's this live server. It's an extension. So if you don't have it, you can always go to your extensions. This is your extensions area and just search live server by this Ritsuke D. So if you don't have it already, you can just install it. I already have it installed, that's why this is showing uninstall. But if you don't have it installed already, just it will show install. So just install it, and then you'll be able to have something like this go live on your end. Alright, so now let me just click on go live. So we'll just see what we have currently. Okay, so this is what we have. And the reason why we just have something plain like this is because there's nothing in our body. Let me do this side by side so you can see it. Okay, so please at any point in time, if you can't hear me or you can't see my screen, please just unmute and let me know. Okay, I'm getting a notification of hands up. Please can you just unmute and just talk? Okay. Alright, so you can okay, I can hear you now. What are you saying? Hello? Okay. Alright, so if you look down here you can see port 5500, and if you look here you can also see that this is what port this is 5500 slash index.html, which is what we have here, index.html. So that's what is running currently. So this document, this title, that's what is showing here now. So let's start by just closing this, and let me just give this a different name. Let's say coda girl. So we are just in sync. Let's see, does it change? Okay, yeah. So you can see that if the changes automatically get affected here, coda girl. Right, so
So you can see your screen.
wow. How about now? How about now? Can you see my screen now?
No.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, let me stop presenting and present again. Zena, please can you mute? Okay, yeah, thank you. Okay, how about now?
You can see it.
Okay, all right. Okay, so I don't really like this white background. It's really messing up. It's really disturbing my eyes. So let me quickly just change the background color by linking our CSS. So, and if we all remember a while back, we talked about there are different ways of linking our CSS. There's the inline style, there's internal, and there's external. Yeah, so right now we'll just do the external way of linking our CSS to our HTML, which is we'll just have a link and we'll have our CSS file somewhere else. So let's just create a file for it. Let's just call it main.css. Okay, so this is where we'll write all our CSS, all the code for our CSS, and whatever we write here, it's going to get affected and we'll target everything in our HTML. So let me just link to it using the external way. So just say link, and VS Code is giving me like an helper, does all this help. So if I just click enter, okay, it didn't even do anything. So okay, I'm just close it myself. Okay, so well, start sheets. So now this href is just saying, okay, where do you want to reference our CSS? So I want it to be in the current directory that I am. That's why I did one dot and I did a slash. So main.css. So this just says, okay, give me this current, the main.css in the current directory that we're in. So even if I do hit save, now nothing's going to happen because there's nothing in our main. So let me just quickly just say, okay, let me target the body, which is this body here. Let me just target it, which is everything that we're seeing here. So let me just quickly change the background to something like a black color. So can just move on. Yes, now this is better. Alright, so let me go back to my index.html. Alright, let me collapse this side. I can just do Control B for that, so that get collapsed. So we have a lot of real estate to work with. Okay, so in part of the assets that we actually imported, we imported this fave icon, right? So we wanted to show up at this coda girl, next to this coda girl, though sometimes it's normally messes up the normal index.html. Normally the head normally touches sometimes, but let's just try it. Link, and what do we want to relate to it? It's icon, type /png. That's the type of the file that we want to use as our fave icon. And where is it? It's currently in our assets folder and it's called fave icon. Let's see if it's okay. Yeah, okay, so the change got affected and we can have our C here. Okay, alright, so let's go into our body this time around and let's just start giving it a little bit of structure based on what we have. Okay, like I said earlier, we'll be having the header. We'll be having the header where we have all this, our portfolio, home, about, and we'll have like a main section, so we'll have the hero. So let's just do that. Header. So in our header we'll try and use semantic HTML for this. Okay, go ahead. Like someone has a question.
Sorry, you for your linking, you linked an image. Like I thought this link was just for CSS files.
No, 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 not just only for CSS files. Not only for CSS files. You can use that for your fave icon.
For your what?
Fave icon. It's next to your. You know, if you go to some browsers, like what? Can you see my screen here? This C, I changed it to just give it like a professional look, just like the
Oh,
logo. So you can see it here. So that's what I changed it to, just rather than the default. If I open a new tab now, it's taking a while to load. Anyways, this side, rather than just having a default icon there or something like this, okay, you can just have something that is just your brand and you just link to it. So it's there are different ways to do it. You can do it in your normal index with HTML. You can do it in your main. It once you start going into different frameworks, there are different ways they do it. But for normal HTML, this is how they do it.
okay, thank you. Sorry, I also asked a question in the chat, in the whatever. I was asking because I didn't really see your screen. I feel like your screen is lagging. I don't know why. I think it's the network. Because you do something and we'll see like 30 seconds after or something like that. But anyway, you said there's an extension for that go live
Yes.
feature. I didn't hear what extension you said.
Okay. Live server. Let me just.
Oh, all right, thank you.
Yes. Alright. So let me continue. Alright. So in our header now, we want to give it a nav. Just give it nav, which is what's going to be the container housing this portfolio, this ones, and this login and register. So let's give it a nav. So let's just say our logo. So right now, since this based on the design, the logo is just a text. It's not like a an image. So we can just say okay, we'll use our H1 for it. And based on what we said earlier, in a web page it should only have just one h1. So once we've designated this h1 now as for the logo or the title for this page, now it will always have just one. So portfolio, if you can spell that. Okay, portfolio. You can see based on the design now we have a part whereby LIO is kind of like it's a different color. So inside is our H1. We can try and just give it a span element. Span. So just put this LIO inside so that in our CSS we can target just this text and just give it a different color. So give it a class. Let me call it. Okay, let me just call it red text. So we know that in our CSS we'll target just this class for just this LIO. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. For the next one, we'll have the menu itself. So in our menu, we'll give it a semantic HTML. Let us give it an unordered list. And in our unordered list, we have the list item itself. The list item itself, and that will now be where we're going to be listing the home, the listing services. So, and since it's a link, we'll also give it an a tag. So for now, this will just give it a slash, which means this will always be home. Right, so now we can duplicate that how many times? Let's see, about services contact, that's 3 times. Let's just duplicate that 3 times. So on my keyboard now, I'm doing Shift Alt and the down arrow key to duplicate it. 1, 2, 3. So services. What I think this is about services. Cool. About services contact. Okay. Contact. So since this is actually not pointing anywhere, we'll just give it a hash. So this hash just means that whenever I click on it, it's not going to go anywhere, it's just going to be on that page. Okay, so that's that for that. Let's move on to the next one, where we have the user, the login and register. Just say leave a comment, user login, sign up. I'm just leaving this comment so that I know it's easier if maybe I want to always come back to reference it, or I don't, it's easier for me to read comments. So let's give it a div class as a div elements. Let's put the buttons inside. So this div now will be like the container to house this login and the register. Okay, let's give it a button. So now as we're typing a button, you can see that we're having different options for buttons. So I'll just give it the normal button. Get the first guy, login, and shift alt down arrow key to duplicate, and let me give this guy register. Alright, so so as to be able to target it in our CSS, let me just give it a class. Let me say user button container. Okay, then since each of these buttons, they all have unique styles, so let's try and target themselves individually now. So let's give each of them a class. Let me just make it simple. Let's call it login. Let's call this one class register. Okay, so okay, let me give the next. Alright, so on this our mobile, that's all right. Okay, no, let me not confuse us. Let me just stop there for the header. I'll add the remaining ones later. Alright, so if we save this now, what we're going to see, we'll see something like this. Let me just move this guy. Okay, so we'll see just the bare bones information of what we have here. There's the portfolio, the menu, and the login. Normally that's just how it is before CSS. You know how it has been always when we started HTML. Okay, so let me close this header. Let me go into the main now, which is the hero section. Okay, let's give this hero, call it hero. Okay, let me just say section. Alright, so let me even show you guys a shortcut. Okay, let me type it out first. So section like this. So if I want to give this section a class, I'm giving it class hero, so as to target the whole hero. Another shortcut of doing this to make it very fast, if you want to write it, you can just write this section, then write dot hero, then tab. It's just going to complete everything for you rather than writing everything all out then going back. So that's one shortcut. Okay, so now that we have a section, now the reason why we have a section now in this main now is we might have several other sections also. Maybe we can have maybe testimonials section. We can have different sections. That's why I gave this section, so it's more semantic. Alright, so now in this section now is everything everything. So now we want to target just this side in the section, the hello, it's me, Koda girl, this paragraph, and this hire me. So let's put that inside a div. I'll explain as we go along now. So this is a div h2. Let's give that guy hello. It's, let me open this guy so I can see what I'm working. Okay. Hello, it's me.
So your screen is going to be visible. I don't see your screen.
Okay. Is this for everyone? Can everyone else also not see my screen?
Yes, I can't.
Okay, let me go back and log out. Let me stop sharing and reshare. Okay, how about now?
Still not visible.
Okay, can you try and refresh your browser? Can you try to log out and log back in? Can you leave the meeting and join back?
Okay.
Okay, so let me just continue. Alright, so on the finished one, hello, it's me, Koda girl. Okay, Koda girl. Okay, and here we can see that this it's me, Koda girl drops to this side. There are different ways of achieving this, but let's just keep it simple. Let's just add a br tag, which is like break. So br to give it a break. So this one will come down. Okay, that's for the h2. Okay, let's work on the paragraph section, paragraph part now. P, saying I'm a web developer and a designer. Okay, um, developer and designer. Make your project beautiful and attractive. Just put this guy next to me here. Okay, then what's next? You can find me on GitHub. Okay. So if we look closely at this design, we can see that the parts where it starts from I am or where it starts from web developer to attractive, it's kind of like bold. It's bolder than the rest. So let's give that a bold. Let's add a strong tag element starting from the web developer strong. Then let's cut this out and just paste it where we want to stop. Attractive. Okay, so when we save, we'll see that this from web developer at an attractive, all those sides will be very bold. Okay, so let's move on to the next part after the paragraph, which is the button hire me. Okay, so hire me. Let's just finish the whole HTML. Okay, I think okay, so let's save and see. Okay, so we're done with the HTML part. So this is how it looks like, just normal HTML. So once we give it, change the color, this will be more bold than the white-ish color. Alright, so save. Let's now go to our CSS. Okay, so when I was looking at the design, I noticed that they have like a font. The font is kind of like different. It's not like your normal sans serif. It's a different font. So if we're working with something like Figma now, you can always just click on it in the Figma, and you get the font that was used, the font family that was used for that design, so that everything can be exactly as it is. So I searched online for it, and I saw the name something Karima or something. Let me please, can you also see my screen up to this point?
You can see your screen.
Okay, okay. Let me search. So let me just do Google Fonts. Google Fonts. Okay. Was it Carla? Yeah, Carla design. Okay. So this Google Fonts is just a. You can also see it as like a repository where you can all go there to kind of search for fonts that you can import and use in your project. So they have a lot of fonts. So you search for the fonts that you want. Once you get it, click on it. Now this is Color. So this is how it looks like on different font widths. This is how you see, so you can know what you are getting before you start using it in your project. Alright, so let's do get font so we can get the code for it. So it's saying, do I want to download it or do I want to get the embed code? So download is, maybe I want to download it and just like use it directly in my code without now having to rely on always calling Google every time. I just know I have it hard coded, I have it inside my code. While this get embed code, the code will just be embedded. So now we'll be reliant on network. If the network is strong enough, we'll always get to make a call to Google Font to get the code. While if it's not, we'll have like a backup font. And so this is where we're going to get the fonts now. So it has given us different options to embed depending on what you're working on. If you're working on a web project like what we are doing, this is where we'll get the code for it. Maybe you're working on Android, iOS, using Flutter. So how it's going to look like will be different. So we're working on the web, so we're here. So there are different options of actually embedding it. You can actually embed it as a link in your embed as a link now, as a code link in your HTML, the head of your HTML, or you can just import it and this you use it in your CSS. So here now I said I want to import it because I just want it separated in my CSS. So they gave me this. So we can still use this in our head. I know if we're using this in our head now, this directly now, this is kind of like saying you're doing internal linking, but we don't want all this style because we just want to use directly in our CSS. So I'll just copy just this import. Just copy just this part. I don't need these style tags. So let me go into my main.css. So you always want to let it be at the topmost before any other code that you'll be writing, so it will be up. So now what the code is just saying that we are getting our fonts from fonts.googleapis.com. Okay, the family is Carla. These are all the weights. It's from 200 to 800. So now for us to actually use it now in our classes and the font family, so this is the code we're going to use. So since now I want to use it on my body, I want the whole of my project to actually have color. I'm not going to copy this because I'm going to use it in my body. I'm only just going to copy just this part. So let's copy. So you can see in this font family we have color and we have serif. The color now is the main one. While maybe there's an issue, if there's an issue loading color on your site now, maybe the network is not strong enough, there's always a backup. So the browser automatically give the users serif instead of color. Then whenever the network is strong, it switch back to color. Alright, so let's go back into our code now. Alright, so let's give our body. Let's paste it inside now. So for this font weight, I don't need this here. Okay. Alright, so I'm about to save. I don't know if you guys can be looking at this side so that we can see if there's a difference, if it actually worked. So I'll also be looking at it. Let's save and see. Yeah. So you can see that there's kind of like a difference on how it was before and now. So the font has been implemented. So if I comment it out and go back to how it was before. Alright, so that aspect is covered. So now let's move on. Alright, so there was something that we normally do when we are doing our CSS. It's like a convention, but it's optional, and which is that you want to, if you look at our page now, you can see that there's space from this portfolio to here. There's kind of like a padding here, padding top, and if you look at here, you can see that there's kind of like spaces. All those ones have spaces here. So by default now, in our browsers, all these elements, they come with their default spacing, margin, just to make it a little bit good. But we want to have total control over how everything is spaced, so that whenever we have an issue, we can always go and target it and we know where the issue is coming from, rather than just working with default values. So there's something called that universal selector. I remember Docker talking about it, which is the star. So what this does is it targets all the elements, everything in your project, everything. So whatever you put inside here, the change will get affected all around. So we want to remove all those spacing. So let's remove the padding. So give the padding 0 pixel. Let's give it 0. Then the margins, all this margin, let's move everything. Everything scatter. Everything. Okay. Okay. Margin. Then border box. Box sizing. Sorry. Box sizing. So this is just about the width and height of your web page. So by default, it's always this border box. I haven't used that context box at all. I never had a use case for it. So it's always been like border box, but I'm sure there'll be use cases for other ones. Right, so if we save now, you can see that everything goes back to normal. I say normal by to all the defaults, padding, margin, styles, everything is out. So if I uncomment it out now and save, oh shit, sorry, everything. Okay, so it comes back to how it was before. Okay. Alright, so now we can start targeting everything one by one now. Okay, so Another thing that I like to do sometimes when I'm working on a project is I like to just specify okay, what colors are we using, though when you start working on like real standard projects, you most likely be using like some frameworks or something that will make your work much more easier. But let's just stick with this one. Sure, let's say that we're working with this one now. Just try and identify, okay, what are the colors that are most common now in the project. You can see here we have something like red. Okay, we have this white-ish color. We have this black. But let's just say we have this white and this red. Let's say we have that. So I like to save that in like a variable. So you save that in variables for reusability, so that whenever, like for instance now, this portfolio now, the color here, maybe later the designer says that, oh, I want to change this color to maybe blue now, and you have been hard coding or you have been manually typing the color code for that blue all over your project. Now you need to go and start finding all the places where you've given it color blue to color white to change it to color blue. Yeah, which will be tedious if you're actually working on like a full project or like a very complex project. So we'll just try and let's create this variable. And how you create it is, so you do this semicolon, this root, open it. So then this is how to do it. So you do dash dash and the name of what you want to call it. And I just want to call it normal. Let me just call it white. Let's say white. And the color that I want to use, I don't want it to be full white. I noticed it was not full white. It was like off white a little, which is like F0, 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 F0. Okay. Then the next one is this red, but it's not full red. It's not full red. It's like reddish. Well, let me just call it red. I think it's something around the hex of, I think F9. F9. No, it's not F9. 9 0, yeah, it's 00. Yeah, 004E. No, it's 4D, I think. Okay, yeah, something around this. Okay, so since that's kind of like the main primary colors, so whenever we want to call it, we want to use anything regarding white, we'll just be calling this one. And whenever we want to make changes, we want to change the color, we'll change it here. And if we have using white in like 1000 places, all the colors will change everywhere at once, which saves us stress. Okay, so we've done the font family. So now let's add this background. Let's add this lady's background so that we leave this white. Okay. Okay, so how to do that? This is it here. This Kodak girl JPG. That's the background. So let's just call it background. The background image. So now it's telling us, okay, where can I find this background image? So URL. You can see it references an image file by the URL. So we're currently want to enter this assets folder. So in the current directly, enter the assets folder, and this is the guy that we want to use. So let's save and see what we have. Okay, this is just dark. Okay. Okay, let's give it a background size. I think it's extending. wider than the screen. Let's give it a background size. This is it. Background size. The properties it has is contain and cover. Let's give it cover. Let's see. Okay, so we have our background image, but as you can see now, it's repeating itself twice. Since it's said we want it to cover, so once it covers and there's no space else, it will repeat it until everything is covered. But we don't want this kind of behavior, so we'll tell it that okay, we don't want you to repeat this image. So background, yeah, background repeats, and we say no repeat, please don't repeat, just give me one image. Okay, so now it's not going to repeat, but we have another issue now. This space. So now earlier now we said our body is all this, is everything. Now it's covering the body, but now this space is missing. So now we need to ensure it fills the screen of our web page, irrespective if it's on mobile, if it's on large screens, larger screen, whatever the screen size is. We want to ensure that this background image, it will always fill the screen. So let's give the body itself like a height that will always fill the screen. Let's give it a height. This is not the background image now, this is just the body. I want to give it a height of, let's say, 100 viewport height. So what this means is it will always full. Okay, so now it's covered, everything is covered, but now our image has run away again. So what are we going to do? Let's let's bring our background position to be top. Okay, I think this is cool. Okay, yeah, so irrespective, it will always, so it's there. It has this kind of like faint, so it's always full our screen. Okay, so I think we're done with that. So now for these colors, these are our text colors are not visible, so let's change the colors from black to, so whenever I want to use this these are variables that we've created here. These are colors. Do color, and then we just call it var. You can see it's giving us autocomplete. So now once we're inside this bracket stuff, now it now lists all the things that we've created earlier, so you can choose and pick anyone. So we want all our text to be white, so click on white. Let's see. Good, so everything is white back now. So we are good on that aspect. Okay, so now we're done with like the general things. Now let's go in depth now, specific. Back to our HTML. What do we want to work on first? The header section. Okay, let's just give it comment header section. Header. Okay, so in our header section now, what element do we have first? We have this header. So let's try and target this header. Let's even give it a color so we see what is inside the header. Let's give it a background. Whenever I'm working with things, I like to give them colors so I know, especially when I'm working with maybe containers like divs or something like that. I just try to give them colors so that I can know what I'm working with. Okay, so you can see now the header section houses this portfolio, this, and this login register. So if you do like this, you can see this is where the header stops and it expands like this. Okay, so let's check our design. What do we have in our design? Okay, so we have like some paddings. The portfolio is coming here, okay. All right, let's give it some paddings. Our header, let's give it the padding. Let's give it padding of 50 pixels. Let's see. Okay. Okay, so now that we've given our padding this, what else are we entering? We're entering the nav container. Okay, so the nav now is just this portfolio home, this one's itself that's inside the header. So let's target the nav. So I think in the last class she talked about flex flex. So we use flex for this. So give it a display flex so that all this is not going to be in like column. You can see here on this design everything is like very horizontal. It's like horizontal like this, while this one is just vertical. So we want to give it, want it to be horizontal. So that's where that flex come in now. So we say, okay, how we want it to display. We want it to display how. There are different ways of displaying. You can see block, content, flex, flex box. So say we want it to flex, and by default whenever you do display flex it always becomes horizontal. So now we have something horizontal-ish. Okay, so let's give this one a background color too, so we just know where we are working in. Let's give it a background color so we can see how everything is. Let's call it let's give it a green color. Save. Okay, so you can see now our header is this red, this whole red. Our nav now is inside our header, and the nav has a padding of this 50 pixel, and that's what pushes the header has a padding of 50 pixels, and that's what pushes this nav inside like this. So now let's work inside our nav. Now what do we have inside our nav? But before then let's try and spread, because now if we do full screen, these are our logo and menu. They are still on this left side, but we want everything to be like this. Let everything spread out. So let's give it a justify content of, so there are different options. There's center if you just want it to center at the middle. There is end if you just want it to be at the end. Now by default, now even if you don't specify anything for justify content, you can see that it's by the left hand side already. So which is this left, which is by default left. And I think there's another one, and start. So you can either use start or left. While if you want it to be at the end, you be right or end. But now we want it to have space in between. We want it to take the full width. So now that's why we're giving this justify. And that's why we're giving a space between. So everything has a space in between. So if we save, okay, now so now there's space that is between each of all these elements that is inside the nav. So if we come here, you can see now it has been spaced. So regardless of whatever screen size it will be, there will always be space in between all elements. That's where the name comes from. Okay, so let's move on to and start targeting individual things inside our nav. And what was the first one? Our H1. Okay, so let's comment. Okay, this nav. So inside our nav, want to start our logo. Okay, so now H1, that's what is representing our logo now, the title of our site. Now let me remove these colors. So go back to how it was. Okay, so for our H1, if we check the design, we can see that it's a little bit it's looking a little bit different. It's like ours, it's kind of like bolder than theirs, and it looks like ours has a lot of space in between all these letters than theirs. Yeah, I think, yeah. Okay, so let's uh let's decrease the letter spacing. So this is just like we're trying to decrease the space in between each letter. By default is like 1, so we want it to reduce, so we'll give it a negative. So let's do 2 pixel and see. Okay, reduced a little. Okay, let's increase the font weight. It's too bold. Font weight, let's give it 400 and see. Okay, 1.5. Most times some of these things is just about playing around. Just play around it and see which one gets you the result that you want. Okay, so then let me increase the font size. I think let's increase the font size a little. Let's see, 30 pixel. Let's see what that does. It's a little bit big. Okay, once we get here, it's going to be okay. Okay, let's leave it like this for now. 2 pixels. Let me leave it here. Okay, let me target the red. You know, we created a class red text just to target this LIO. Okay, so now let's target it. And how you target a class, you do full stop and the name that we call it in your HTML. So red text. Let's say color. So I know we've assigned the color red to this variable here, red to this red here. So we'll call red instead of calling the color. So I'll call it by doing var and red here. So if we save, yeah, okay, we have portfolio. Okay, alright, let's move on to the next one. So what's the next one on our list is the menu, which is this home, about, services, contact. Okay, let's start targeting them. Menu. So another thing to take note is when you're working on project, just try and follow it from top to bottom. So try not to be jumping from one place to another. I want to do this, and I'm not done doing it. I'll come to another aspect to work on that one. It will kind of like get a little bit confusing after a while. So just try and follow it. Finish one, then move on to the next. Finish one, move on to the next. Okay, so this and what's in our menu UL on that list. Okay, so now we know we wanted to also flex like this. We wanted to flex like this, so we'll give the container that's housing the things that we wanted to flex, and this UL is the container that is housing this 1 2 3 4. So if we give this UL the flex, now automatically all these guys, they'll become horizontal, no longer vertical. So if we do UL and then we target it and we say okay, display flex, see, okay, so it comes like this. So now this is where all our our responsiveness comes in. If you notice on like some, maybe you use a lot of sites, once you're on mobile screen, all this text gets hidden, you won't see them on mobile. You have to click like a drop down or something and then it shows. So for this stage that we're in now, let's just start working on it like this, so that it's not going to interrupt us. We'll come back to that mobile, the responsiveness later. So let's just keep it like this and start working on it. Okay, so our UL, we flexed it, but now they are too close. Hello? Okay. So they are too close together, so let's give them like a gap. So there's a property in flex and also in grid. It's called gap. So let's call it gap, and then you can give it whatever gap that you want. So for this one, let's say start 30 pixels. Let's see how that looks. 30 pixels. Still a little bit small. Let's double it and see. Okay. Maybe once we remove these buttons, we can see what it looks like. Okay. That's that for the container. Now I want to start targeting individuals. Now the li items inside the ul. Okay, so let's say ul, then we're entering the li, the list item now. So now let's remove this dot. This dot is not making it fine. So how you remove that? There's something called list style type. List style type, and you set it to none. I don't want any style on my list. Save it. That dot goes away. Now for this color and this underline, it's because of the anchor tag, this a tag, the link. That's what is giving you that property. So now we need to target the a now, the anchor tag inside. So let's target it ul li. Now we can decide to just say, okay, let's just target li and remove this ul. It's still going to work. Okay, it's still going to work. Okay, but later, maybe as your project grows, you have a lot of specifications, and you're having li, li tags, something like this in other parts. Because you've done this as li now globally, now wherever there's li, everywhere, no matter, nothing concerns it, everything will take something like this, irrespective of if they all have different styles. So that's why I did this ul. So I'm telling CSS that just enter my ul, my li, okay, and just scope it just to those guys inside here. Then I'll do the same thing for my a to ul lia, my link. I said, or just target the links that are inside my li, that are inside my ordered list alone. If I have a case whereby in the project I have a code that is just an anchor tag outside on its own, please leave it alone. Don't touch it. Just touch these ones that are inside this li and my ul. Okay, so let's remove this underline. And how you remove the underline, the text decoration, you set it to none. There are different types of underline. You can see there's dash, dotted, double, line through, none, overline, underline. So we'll just do it as none. We don't want it. So let's save and see. Okay, yeah, it has removed it. So now let's remove this color and let's give it our normal white color as we see it in our design here. So now we'll give it that our variable white that we've declared, white. Okay, so let's see. Okay, good. Okay, so now if you look on the design now, you can see that like there's a mouse that's hovering on this about, and when you hover on it, the colors is changing. So there's something called like all these pseudo classes, whereby you get to access even more functionality. So for this guy now, there's something called on hover. When you hover over something, I want you to do something. So let's apply it. Let's say in our unordered list, enter our list, enter our anchor tags, and how you use that pseudo classes for external functionality. You give it dot I forgot what they call it in English. This and say hover. So okay, what is asking us? What do you want us to happen? What do you want to happen when we hover on it? Okay, I want to change the color to, let's give it our red back. I want the color to change when I hover over it. So now whenever I come to these guys, come here, everything changes. That's how to do it. There are other types of this pseudo. There's also, I think, there is focus. When you're focusing on an element, there's focus. There is link. That is when the link has not been visited. What color, what action do you want it to take? There is also what's the other one? There's link. There's visited. When you visited a link, what do I want it to happen? So, but that's like you guys can make more research on that on your own. Alright, let's move ahead. Time's up and we'll go. Okay, let's go to the next guy. Is the buttons that we need to style up now. These guys. Okay, so let's see. Now buttons. So what is that? Okay, we're saying this container. This div is inside our nav. So let's target just that guy. Say our nav div. What do we want it to happen? We also want to flex this guy because we want to add gap. Though it's already there in line already, but we want to give it that gap. So let's just flex it just to make things easier. Flex. Let's give it a gap. Let's say 40 pixel. Okay. Okay, so this is the container. This is this container here. So now I want to access the buttons inside this container. So nav div button. So irrespective of if we have thousands of buttons in our project, they will not be affected. Only the ones that are inside this div container inside our nav, they're the ones that will be affected with whatever style and changes that we're doing now. So let's give it a color. Now this general, this applies for both the two of them. Since both of them they have white color according to design, they're both white, and here they are red, they are black. So let's just say that I want both of them to have the white color. Okay. Let's remove the border none. Okay. Let's save. There's supposed to be a pointer. Okay, let me add the cursor pointer. What this does is whenever you hover or you carry your mouse to over something that is like a button or a link, like just like this one, the A tag does this automatically for you. But for buttons, you need to manually do this. You can see now the changes. It's kind of like saying, do you want to click on me? It's different from just a normal mouse. Okay, let's go into more specific and say let's go to the login. That's the first one. Let's remove that background color. Let's give it transparent. Okay, so that white color is gone because we made the login transparent. Okay, so our class login, let's target it and register. Let's change the background. It's like the background is black here. Let's make the background color black also. See, okay, it's black. Okay, let's add some padding to the left and right. So there's something called padding inline. What this does is it adds it to the left and right for you, rather than you adding, saying padding left, let's say 20 pixels, then coming and doing padding right, 20 pixels. So that's doing padding inline. In just one line, it just does the left and right for you, so you don't need to write much code. So let's save and see. Okay, please can you all still see my screen? Hello?
Yes, yes.
Okay, alright. Okay, so it seems if you look at this design, there's kind of like a border radius. It's curved a little than ours that is very sharp. Okay, let's add that radius to it, and it's called border radius. Okay, let's do 5 pixels. Let's see. Okay, it's manageable. So one thing about all this stuff is, as you are working with projects, practicing, after a while you can just look at something and just guess, oh, this property, this code should work for this. This is what should happen to this. This is the what I'm supposed to give is that it's going to make this work. Okay, so okay, when we hover on this guy, let's make it to be red to so we're just being in line. Okay, let me just give it a hover also. Let me just change the color. So far, let's give it red. Okay, yeah, all of them. Okay, yeah, I think that's cool. And I think that's that for the header section for now. Okay, let's enter the main section, the hero. Let's see what's up in there. Oh, time has gone. Okay, let's rush through this. Okay. So main section. Okay, what do we have in our index for our main? Let me close this header. Main section. Okay, main, the hero. Okay, so let's target our main. Let's give it a padding. Let's give it the same padding that we gave the header, 50 pixels. So we'll bring this guy out. And okay, since we have padding 50 pixels here and padding 50 pixels here, let's just save this one to in a variable so we know that they're all equal. So if we have any other, if we want to reduce it another time, we'll just call padding rather than go and be finding all these guys. Okay, let me call variable, so padding. Okay, for the header, and you variable padding for the main. Let's see. Yeah, it still works. Okay. Let's go into our hero now. Hero. Hero. We have a div inside our hero to our section. Okay. So this only affects the div that is in that section. Okay, let's give it a display. So that's okay. Let me give it a color so we see. Give the background color red. So now hero, the div, that's this one now. So now what do I say I want to do? We want to give it space, give it gap in between each other. So let's give it a display flex. I know earlier I said by default the flex is horizontal. So if you save this now, you see it will make everything horizontal. So for us to retain that vertical, there's another thing called flex direction. That's what direction do you want this your flex to be. So now I said I want to specify, I want it to be in column. So now it has given us in column. So now that we have it in column, we can add some gaps to it. Now let's give it 10 pixels. So give it space. Then let's remove this guy. Okay, this guy is a button. Okay, we'll come to it. Okay, gap 10 pixels. So I'm still recording. Okay, gap 10 pixels. Let's give it a max width. So what this max width is just saying that what's the maximum width. You can see this thing is extending outside down to the full screen, which we don't want. We don't want that. Like, see, according to our design, you can see this just stops here, and this one is just going all the way to the end, irrespective. So we want to have a max width that whenever the width of that property gets to that width, it cannot go more than that. That's what that max width does. So let's just give the max width. Let's see. Let's make it 300 pixels. Oh no, that's too small. Let's do 550 and see. Let's do 600 then. Let's stop first. Okay, let's add the margin top. So I'll also push this hero down a little from this portfolio, so we have some space. Okay, so we're done with the container. Let's enter into everybody one by one now. Let's enter the h2. Okay, what's happening in the h2 based on the design? Okay, the h2 is kind of like a little bit bigger. Okay, let's make it bigger. Font size, let's give it 6 pixels. Then letter spacing, same as the header, the title. Let's just give this one -2 pixels. Let's see. Then font weight, let's do 500. Let's take this. Let's do 700. Okay, it's thick. Okay, adjust the size later in our responsiveness. Okay, let's go to the P. Sometimes I have to just leave that design for now. P. What's in our P? Our P is a little bit smaller. Okay, let's change the size. Font size 14 pixels. Okay, smaller to 5. Okay, that's for the P. Yeah, P doesn't really have much work like that. The paragraph. Alright, let's go to the button. And for the button, we want to affect only the button that is in the hero section. So that's hero button. That's hero button. Let's give it a fixed width because it's too long. You can see it's just too long. So let's give it a fixed width. Let's say 100 pixel. No, that's too wide. 80 pixels. Okay, so that's manageable. Padding 8 pixels. Oh no, okay, no, let's give only the top and bottom. I think the left and right are okay, right? Yeah, the left and right are okay. So let's give 0 pixel. So what this does is this 8 pixel only affects the top and bottom, while this affects the left and right. Okay, so the font size 13 pixels. Okay, let's change the font weight. I think that's a little bolder than that. 700. Okay. I think it has border radius. So I'll soon be rounding up border radius 5 pixels. Let's try. Whoa, since we have a border here, we don't want border, we only want your radius. So most times a border normally comes with this border here. So whenever you access anything border, it always comes with it. So now you now have to go and specify, I don't want a border, please. So it removes the border for your border none. So let's see. Okay, the button, I think the button is a little bit further down from the paragraph. So let's add a margin top. Let's see, 6 pixels. Okay, manageable. Okay, it seems like we're done with the large screens, but you know we still have issues with this. You can see it's pushing our code, all our designs to this side. So now let's try and see how we can make it responsive a little. Okay, so let's go back. What are the areas? So when you're doing, you need to identify what areas you want to make responsive. What are the things I want to make to be responsive? And on this project, we have the nav. We need to make that responsive. We need to work on this H2 so that when it's on smaller screens, it adjusts. When it's on larger, it adjusts. That's when we use media queries. I think Docker said to taught you guys that a little. Okay, so let's just go back to Okay, register, which is the last button. So what we want to do is that we only want these knobs to be shown on like large screens that can accommodate it, while on mobile screens we want to hide it. So let's do media. That's how you call it to do responsiveness. Media, so screen, and so it takes in, okay, what do you, from which size to what size do you want to do these changes? So I'm saying a max width of 640 pixels. So what I'm saying here is that, okay, I'm telling CSS, I'm telling the code that, okay, see, I want to start doing responsiveness using media queries by me using this arts media. That's what I'm saying, and I'm telling it that, okay, I want it to affect us the screens. It's the screens of whoever the user, their screens, the user screens, and then I want the change to come into effect at this width. So this max width, I would say it's a little bit confusing, but what it does say is from 640 pixels downwards. So there's this standard um, media sizes by Tailwind. There are different ones, sure, but I'm using the specification by Tailwind, which is this 640, from 640 downwards. That's like small screens. So I'm telling CSS that from 640 pixels downwards, which is from 640 to all like mobile stuffs, I want you to target the UL, which houses all this menu. I want you to target this UL comma, and I want you to target this user container, which houses these two buttons. I want you to target them. Let me just copy it. So I want you to target both of them. And what do I want you to do? I want you to make them disappear. Display none. Yeah. So now you can see that it's no longer there again. So once we get to JavaScript, we'll see a more slick way of doing it. So we can see once we navigate to big one now, you can see everything comes back. When we start going to the smaller screens, it doesn't show. So now what I wanted to add in this side earlier before, but I didn't want to confuse anyone then, was the hamburger menu. The menu that you can always click on to see that you can click on to select that, oh, I want to have a drop down. I want to have a drop down of a mobile menu. So let me just do that. So div dot mobile menu. This now will only be visible on mobile screens. Once you start getting to large, you won't be able to see it. It becomes hidden. So now I have the hamburger menu, the icon, that's hamburger icon. So let me put it in this my attributes, src attributes. Say go into my assets and get me this hamburger icon. Let's make the width, let's make something very small, 20 pixel, and the height, I always put my height to auto, so you just adjust according to the width. But there are some times whereby you might need to set a fixed width. Okay, so if I save now, you can see it's there. So this is it. But now it will also still be there on large screens. So we need to do a mobile query for it too. That as we're expanding and we're entering into like medium large screens, it should disappear. This guy should show. And as we're entering the mobile, it should appear, while those guys should disappear. So let's just do something like that. Okay, let's just do it under this guy so everybody are the same. It's media, screen, and now this time around we'll do min width instead of max width now. So let's give it the exact same breakpoint that we gave the other one. So now we are telling it that okay, that's mobile menu display. So what I'm basically just saying here is that once from a screen size of 640 upwards to large ones from 640, please, this icon should not be visible. So now if you come here like this, you can see it's no longer visible. Come here, it's visible. Yeah, so let's just do that. Okay, what else again do we need to give responsiveness? We need to give this h2 does something. That's just like the last one we'll just do and just wrap up. Okay, let's say add media screen and max width. Let's give it that same 640 pixels. So now we want to target this h2 and we're saying from 640 down to smaller screens. We want the h2 text to the font we want it to reduce so it at least is a little bit better on the eyes than this one is just big like this. Let's see. Okay, I think this is still a little bit this is better a little. Okay, let's do the same thing for p, but we need to reduce the paragraph. Let's put down 13 pixels. 13 pixels. Yeah, okay, yeah. So yeah, we're done with that one. So you can see that when we even get here, like it's pushing out. So you can also always go back and go and adjust. Everything's about testing. You can just adjust the breakpoint so to whatever works well. You can even do it that once you get to this point like this login and register should not appear. Let it only be these ones that will appear first. It depends on the design you're working with. It depends on the team, what has been asked, the requirement. But yeah, that's that for that. I'll send all these codes to GitHub. I'll send them to the group. Let me go back to. Alright, that will be all for the project for today's class. Please, in preparation, I don't think I'm going to ask if you have questions because time has gone. It's 8:41. If you have any questions, just drop it in the group. I'll try as much as possible to respond to them in the group. So then our assignment, we'll do like just a CSS assignment to wrap up before we start JavaScript. That will be communicated in the group too. Thank you everyone. Good night. Thank you for staying. Good night everyone.